name is Olga. You probably met me before, and
I'm Vicente.
And I invited Vicente to the episode 6 of Let's Make It Personal, because today's topic is connection in tango. And obviously you can't have connection without having a partner. So we need at least 2 people. Vicente is my very good friend and a very good dancer from London scene. And I'm really happy to have him.
Thank you.
The connection in tango is probably the most important thing. And usually when people study and when the people work and when people dance, this is the number one thing everyone should be focusing on, and hopefully everyone is focusing on that. So I invited Vicente to give an opinion of a leader, and the second opinion, of course, from mine. And what do you think about connection? What is the point of it? What is the most important thing? What are you looking for in a follower?
So a connection for me, of course, is the most important thing when dancing. In my opinion, there are quite a lot of things that build up a good connection between the leader and the follower. I think everything that you learn in tango, when put together, is to come to that moment where you have a good connection, and then having a good connection, you're gonna have very enjoyable dances. So, from the perspective of a leader, I think having a good connection is, first of all, having a follower that is 100% with me. And what that means is, for instance, if I'm doing a movement which is very slow and therefore harder, she's really going with me in that slow movement. And for instance, not falling to the next step, not trying to predict it. So that I feel like she's really listening to me, and she's really replicating my movement with her own body in her movement. So if, for instance, I'm trying to interpret a very melodic, slow part of the song, and I'm proposing something very slow, and she's already in the next step, or she loses balance, she falls into the next step, that kind of disrupts the connection for a moment, and that suddenly I have to reset my mind and get back into everything. So the connection is broken for that little moment. In the end, it comes a lot down to the technique. Of course, you can talk about the connection that you have in musicality, emotional with the follower. There are a lot of things you can talk about it. But technical quality definitely is very important for having a good connection. And being able to move in a very controlled and technically good way, I think that you have more than 50% of the connection going on already.
It's like a tick.
Yeah, it's for me, it would be like the number one thing.
Yeah. Same here.
Yeah.
Same here. Yeah, I would say that obviously people think like, okay, there's technique, there's connection, there's musicality, and these are 3 separate things. And actually, the more you think about it, the more closely interlinked they are, at least for me. So for instance, connection to me is exactly what you described. So it's being able to fully control the movement, independent of the speed, including, super slow, because that's obviously much more difficult. And that comes down to technique. What I'm looking for in a leader is clear lead, number one thing. So same thing what you said.
Yeah.
And I like leaders who know what they're doing. It sounds a bit silly, but if you can tell as a follower if the leader is sort of planning one step ahead or just kind of falling into whatever happens. So if the leaders who plan at least one step ahead, they're so much more enjoyable. So you kind of I'm personally looking for leaders who know what they're doing and can control the movement. And I like leaders who give me the feeling of security, because I don't know what's going on around. So I like leaders who embrace me in such a way that I can just sort of relax into it, and I don't have a worry. I'm just listening to him, and I can respond, and I can interpret his movement with my own movement. And it's like a connection to me is being safe in the dialogue. So dialogue is very, very important. So there are some dancers who prefer like absolute, match of the lead and the follow. I am a very active follower, and I'm pro-active following. And that means to me having a dialogue. So if the leader suggests something, it's very important that I listen, that I don't just like go off and do my own thing, but I can interpret. And if you give me a chance as a leader to if you take a pause and the music allows, I love being able to just take that moment to do my own stuff. And hopefully if the leader perceives this, because we are connected, I sometimes feel the smile on the leader's face is wonderful. It's great.
Yeah, definitely allowing the follower some space and having a follower that can take that space, even if taking that space for her is doing nothing or just moving slowly, is already a way of feeling the follower. So it all comes down to being able to perceive the follower, the way she perceives you, like connecting the moods as well of how you're dancing at that specific moment is very important. And that comes from having a quality, good embrace, good technique, moving accordingly together.
And listening to the music.
Very
important. So I guess last thing to add to this is listening to the music. People and leaders, especially because this is more about leaders, who don't listen to music, meaning like they might be dancing to each beat and in the phrases and but if they don't take pauses, take pauses. It's important. It's a chance to to just reset and enjoy the silence of the movement. Thank you so much for watching and see you next time. Thank you, Vicente, and
Olga.
thank you, Michael, for editing. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you.